store. Then he'd take off, he'd get in the saddle of the horse and start up the red grade. And before they got there, they were still just a little ways out of Sheridan. He'd fall asleep in the saddle, and the horse would go right along, right on up to the camp, and then he'd go.
They know their way by heart.
Yeah, and he had a friend up there that he used to hunt, fish mostly. Charlie Hadley. Well, Charlie Hadley, Herb Adams had all his Herb family was tied with Charlie Hadley too. Charlie Hadley was a Spanish-American War veteran, and he got a small pension. And when he'd come down from up the mountain, he'd go to the Class Cafe. Herb Adams' dad ran this cafe in Sheridan, and he'd give a list of what he wanted and give Mr. Adams money for it. And he'd take the rest of the money while they were doing that. He'd go next door to the Silver Dollar, and he drank until he was out almost. Then when it was all over, he'd go back up.
Back up
there for another month.
Wow, a whole month at a time he'd get his supplies for.
Yeah, he was a real good, he taught Dad how to fish.
Okay.
And for instance, I'll give you an idea how Charlie was. Herb and I were up on the 4th of July, and we'd been we camped in the woods, and we came over to Charlie's house, and once you get there, his cabin, he wouldn't let you go, you had to be there. And he'd have his fishing rod was always ready to use right on the wall, hung on the wall. He'd walk 15 minutes down to the creek, and 10 minutes later he'd be back up with 20 trout.
Oh my gosh.
And then he'd cook them, he didn't want you to cook.
Oh, he really treated his guests right, huh?
Yeah. He had one, there was I can't think of the guy's name now. He came up to visit, and Charlie was treating him just like a king, you know. And Charlie went off and Charlie had planted his cabins out in the open area. But he planted 2 real nice pine trees on each side of the path coming to and this guy took those trees and went down. He wouldn't dare come near Charlie's man.
He cut them down?
He dug them out and replanted them. He took them from there down to Sheridan and replanted them in his yard.
Oh my gosh, how horrible.
Yeah.
Why would somebody do that?
I don't know.
Because they were pretty and he needed them.
I guess. This one time we were there, Charlie, when you get there, you had to stay. You couldn't go back outside the camp. You had to stay in the cabin. And he cooked their meals, and at nighttime you'd look out his window and the deer were all over the place. He had salt licks out.
Oh.
And when deer season came around, Charlie went to the other side of the mountain to shoot his deer.
He didn't want
He wanted to shoot one of those he'd been watching.
Oh. Well, you know, in our area, people would put out salt licks and all that. Now, I don't know I think they're still legal or whatever, but there's regulations on what, you know, when you can and what you can't. I know we have bait piles and that kind of stuff, but I think a lot of women that are used to seeing the deer come out to the salt licks aren't real happy at deer hunting time because they don't know for sure which deer their husbands are getting.
Right. Yeah, he was.
So it was Charlie Hadley, Hadley. Charlie, or what? How do you say it? Charlie
Hadley.
Hadley. Okay.
Yeah. The Adamses were his friends too.
Okay.
But like Dad would say, if you took a bottle of liquor up
Uh-huh.
and give it to him. By the time he got 2 blocks, it was all gone.
Oh, so he probably had a little problem.
Oh, yeah.
Not just like I guess they call that binge drinking now, where
Yeah.
people do that. So he never had any kids or anything.
Oh, no.
He was a bachelor, huh?
Mhm.
I think, did Marita say that, that your friend, Herb just passed away not that long ago, huh? Was that this year, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was born about 3 weeks after I was born. Okay. Now Herb had a real good singing voice, like all the musical stuff at high school. He was the lead tenor. Well, we got along real well. We got in the hills east of Sheridan, or up in the mountains camping. We were there a lot of times. I remember this one Palm Sunday. It was unusually warm, beautiful sky. We went to Mass, and there was Herb and myself and Austin and Ed, Jim Garrett, and there was about a pretty good pile bunch. We went out there. We were up on top of Sheep River's Monument, and I said, it's all volcanic area in there. And we were up on top, and the guy started pulling rocks. This stuff is like a shale. It was in chunks. And you could grab it. There was ash between them. You could wiggle and pull them out. Well, Herb found this one place that he wanted to pull this rock out. So he started, and then he asked if I would give him some help. So the two of us reached under, and we both felt the same thing at the same time. But we went ahead and pulled it out anyway. It was a rattlesnake.
Oh.
And of course, it was dormant, like very lazy moving.
Okay.
So we killed the rattlesnake, and the ritual there, you cut the skin around his head, and then you peel it backwards, and you peel it off. And then when you get it all off, you put your belt in that hole, and pull it back up over it. And when it dried to shrink on there, you got a rattlesnake belt.
Oh.
So.
That's really.
Anyway, we were up there, and there was a little cloud. Just didn't think much about it. Then it got bigger and bigger, and the next thing you know, it was starting to snow. And it snowed so heavy that you couldn't see any further than here to you. Well, Herb and I knew the foot, so we could go on it. Anybody else, if we weren't there, those kids would have been lost. But anyway, that's about 7 miles from Sheridan, and we got about halfway toward home. No, it was snowing, and it was so heavy. But we walked along, and then the sun cleared out. And that nice sun on that white new snow, and anybody was there or were subject to blistering and got blistered. So the work that I was supposed to do, the four of us, was done by me. The rest had blisters under their chins.
Oh, that would be miserable. I know that when I went out to Wyoming, and I was pretty young at the time, with you, I think we flew out. Oh, maybe we flew.
Maybe one time we flew out.
But we would go to the country club and swim, and with like Peggy and stuff. But we didn't have good sunscreen in those days, and I burnt so bad. I just remember being at Uncle Ed and Aunt Margaret's house, and hardly being able to even sleep, because if I would turn at all, it would hurt. It would just kill me, and it would wake me up. You know what? That keeps on the the thing keeps on like floating up. So then you can't get it. You don't want
I
to.
don't want to.
Okay. But yeah, so I know that the sun there, it's so much, I don't know. We're a little closer to the sun, I guess, the altitude and everything.
Pat and Marita told us that Sheridan Country Club went bankrupt. So,
Mhm. So that's not being used anymore.
no. I was thinking, these some, your caddy, Mom had no idea about distances.
Mhm.
And when I was 9 years old, I'd walk from Hill Street, where we lived, out to the country club. That's about 6 miles.
Mhm.
And then you'd caddy all day and walk 6 miles back home.
That's a long.
But they had
We're kind of spoiled.
that swimming pool, I never went swimming much. But I never went to swimming pool ever. But,
So I remember one story. I think that Herb Adams is the one that talked about it. You know, when Marita's son Michael got married in the Chicago area, we all went, but you were sick.
yeah.
You had mono, I think,
Mhm.
so you didn't go. But I remember meeting Herb Adams. I think they had like a little shuttle bus to take us, you know, to things or whatever. And so I met him, and he was talking about how you and he used to go and pick up liquor bottles in the middle, like real early in the morning or late at night, that the bootleggers, and then sell them back to the bootleggers. Do you remember
I
it?
think he did the business. I helped him pick him up, but
Okay.
he handled the business end of it.
Okay. So, but I mean that, because when was Prohibition? It was,
It was,
sometime in the
about
1920s.
1918 or 1919, I think.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
When did it go back to being allowed to be sold, though?
It was in the late 30s.
Oh, okay. So you guys would go and pick up bottles, and then the bootleggers needed bottles, right? So then
Yeah.
they would buy them back.
Yeah.
Pretty ingenious.
Yeah, Herb, as I say, Herb and I, and in Wyoming, those days, I don't know if it's still or not, I've got a picture of her myself, Herb's done it. Wyoming chorus. They'd get two tenors and two baritones and two sopranos from each school. You'd go down, when I went to Casper, you went down and you practice so forth for the first 2 or 3 days, and then you had the
Big show.
big show. And
So were you a tenor?
a baritone.
You're a baritone.
I was singing baritone, Herbert's tenor.
Okay. So that's where we get our singing from.
So I think that comes from Grandma. You know, Rosa
Uh-huh.
had a sister who was a operatic soprano and was in King or Kaiser Wilhelm's court.
Okay.
So she was there.
Okay.
When they came to Sheridan, Mom was telling me that the first choir, her whole name, Mary was sang alto and played the organ.
Okay.
Grandpa was a tenor.
Okay.
Dad was a baritone.
Okay.
And what was the other?
And Rose would be, was Rosa then the soprano?
She was a soprano.
Okay.
Yeah. And they made good music together.
Well, especially if Grandpa Riedel or Great Grandpa Riedel was in John Philip Sousa's band and he transposed, and he understood all of the music,
Yeah.
that he could do the different parts, because we don't get too many
But
people
see,
that...
then Sheridan didn't have a church. They would meet in different houses for mass.
Before Holy Name was made.
Before Holy Name was built.
Okay.
And when Holy Name, when Herb and I were in 3rd grade, we became altar boys, and we were partners through high school.
Yeah. Our boys were altar boys for a long time, but I had to really twist their arms when they were like in 8th grade and freshmen and sophomores in high school. I think finally I let them not do it anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well, I remember like when Bishop McGovern came up from Cheyenne for confirmation, because there's a whole bunch of us, and he insisted that those who were altar boys remain with their casket and surplices on.
Oh, okay.
And the others would be without. So that Monday morning, it was Herb and I's turn to serve 6 o'clock mass. So we went down, and Bishop McGovern was saying the mass. So we served mass for Bishop McGovern. I had some like when I think I may have told you, on December 7th, 1941, I was the duty officer for our battalion. It was peacetime. There was no training from noon on Saturday until Monday morning.
Okay.
And most of the people, where they wanted, they had to be signed up. We know where they were, but that's all. And well, I had gone to mass up to the main post, about a 3-block walk, and came down. The radio was on. I ate my breakfast, and then the bad news started coming from Pearl Harbor. So now in the peacetime, we had all of our ammunition was in steel cans. So it'd be like you open a sardine.
Okay.
Well, when they wanted to get that stuff out, they had people, and then it was all packed in there. You had to take it out. If you're going to put it in machine gun belts, you had a little hopper and you fill it, crank them, fill them up.
Okay.
Well, I spent the whole night doing that. We had 8 tanks. They're supposed to be M3 light tanks with 37 millimeter gun. We had, instead of having 8 in the company, instead of having 17, we had 8, and they were combat cars from capital combat cars were built in 1928.
Oh gosh.
And the principal weapon on them was a 50 caliber machine gun, and they were mounted on a 72-inch circular track, no turret.
Okay.
And that's what we were faced with when the Japs hit Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And they had the Japs tried to get the United States Navy to go toward the West Coast to support, to protect the West Coast. So they had a group of ships headed out toward the United States. And they had Navy people in the arms said that the West Coast will have to take care of itself. We're going to take care of ourselves to do what we're supposed to do. So that foiled the Japs.
Because they wanted you. They wanted
us to get
take all the Navy ships.
Then they'd be divided. Then they could, with their main force, could finish off the Navy.
Oh, because they'd be taking care of the whole West Coast instead of
right, yeah.
like getting ready to fight the Japanese.
And so the last reading they had on them would have put them coming into the river up there. I can't keep that in my mind. The Columbia River,
Okay.
where it comes into the ocean there between Oregon and Washington,
Okay.
and that's where they're headed for. So we were put out into this. First thing happened, they dispersed us all into the woods, so that if the Japs came in and bombed the barracks, they wouldn't get anything.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Washington always rains every day, never.
Yeah.
But you never get really wet, and the ground is such that water never filled up on.
Oh.
One of the things we're supposed to do in training is to stick a tank in mud somewhere, and then retrieve it, pull it out. You couldn't find a place on that whole reservation to stick a tank.
Because it just absorbs it, or?
It had about that much topsoil and then gravel.
Oh.
So.
Okay. And so that's how it can just keep on. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess I'm not that familiar with the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, anyway, we were out there getting rained on. After a certain number of days, we came back into camp. But we got back into camp, and then we got a warning, and they just put us out there at the mouth of the Columbia, ready for combat.
Okay.
And we already made up our mind that if they come in, we're not going to use them as tanks, we're going to use the old cavalry stashes. And if they come in, we're going to run over them all.
Oh.
That's what we were going to do. We felt that was more effective than a 50 caliber machine gun.
Okay.
So when they didn't come, but no, the day after Pearl Harbor, in Puget Sound, they intercepted 2-man subs, Japanese, and they were loaded with arsenic and stuff like that. They were saboteurs.
Oh, okay.
So, then when Pearl Harbor took place, the 41st Division, which was there at Fort
Lewis, or?
Fort Lewis.
Okay.
The 41st Division left from there, went to South Pacific, and we had to protect the areas that they had been camped in.
Okay.
And about the first night or second night, they intercepted Japs with arsenic and stuff like that, headed for the water supply.
Oh, wow. You know, you never really hear about that.
Well, they shelled the.
Look at that, more fan mail.
Boy. I need more mail.
Well, you might want to take a deep breath.
Anyway, because when we had a schedule for protecting the water supply and so forth, and we had one of our enlisted men, whose name Jarrett, was a little flighty, cuckoo. Anyway, he was on duty, and this major general from the guard, Washington, he went out to check the guard, and he went up on this water spot, and Jared was the guard. Jared gave him a challenge, and this officer had not remembered what the
The password was?
password was. So he held him at gunpoint. There was a general, he was holding him all night. Finally, another officer came up and relieved him.
Uh-huh.
And when Captain Terry heard that, he said, oh boy, we're gonna get it. And he got a red bordered letter commending Jared for his action.
Because he didn't
Because he did
believe,
what he was supposed to do.
regardless
And
of
the
what
guy
the
had-
guy was saying.
Said he was a general, but he didn't know the password.
So what is it, well, you said that, I think, another day, a red bordered letter. Does that mean it's something official or?
Of import. Here's right after Pearl Harbor,
Uh-huh.
they froze all furloughs. Nobody could have furloughs for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then finally they opened it up. Well, Captain Terry figured the best way to do it was just, we were allowed to 10% of the company. So what he'd do is put all the names in a hat and draw out the 10 point,
Uh-huh.
and they would get the furlough. So he did this, and this character, and sometimes they hear your name, sometimes they can't. Anyway, he didn't get drawn out. So about a week later, Captain Terry gets a red letter from the Pentagon. Will you kindly tell Private so-and-so not to ask the Vice President
For a furlough?
So Terry brought him in. I was there when he did it, very politely, informed me you shouldn't do that. So about a week later, we got another letter. Not to write to Cordell Hall, who was Secretary of State.
Oh, gee.
And then about the fourth try, the letter said, Eleanor has asked for him to have the letter, so give him his.
He wrote to Eleanor Roosevelt?
Yeah. And anyway, so he got to leave. I say he was smart, but he was
Kind of dingy?
self-centered and so
Uh-huh,
forth.
yeah.
And there was a letter come through asking for guys to volunteer for officer candidate school.
Uh-huh.
So he volunteered. Captain Terry okayed that one in a hurry. We wonder what happened to him.
That's funny. So, well, we should take a break from all our stories. I have to